You are now eligible to apply for a $1,000 advance again, people. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Chawanne Burns. Please click that like button and that subscribe button. In today's video, we are going to discuss the stimulus bill. Scratch that. In today's video, I'm sorry. Everything is running together, you guys. In today's video, we are going to discuss the PPP and the EIDL program. The bill that just passed, it has some revisions to the CARES Act bill or some, I guess, extended protections and some revisions to what was in the CARES Act bill and what they misinterpreted or misenforced. Included in this bill, some new language and some new funding. So we are going to discuss that today. Like I said in my last video, I'm not going to do a bunch of editing. So if I stutter, that is too bad for you. Okay? Just skip over that part. Anyway, so the PPP and the EIDL loan changes. It says no shall be denied or reduced. No tax attribute. Remember in my last video, they were saying, hey, you have to claim taxes on this grant if it's the PPP is forgiven, or if this EIDL advance is looked as a grant, you will not be able to, you will have to file taxes on that. Now they're saying that they are going to allow businesses to take this as a deduction on their taxes. Okay. The second thing for the PPP, our eligible recipients may receive a second PPP loan. Okay. You have to have 300 employees or less, has or will use the full amount of their first PPP. So your PPP must have been exhausted. Had gross receipts during the first and second, third, or only with respect to applications submitted on after January the 1st. Demonstrated no less than 25% of reductions from the gross receipts of the entity during the same quarter in 2019. I don't know how that's possible. Why would they put that in there? But whatever. For the purpose above the 25% reduction in the gross receipts test, borrowers who were not in business during the first, or second, third quarter of 2019, but were in business in the fourth quarter, on compare the first or second quarter of 2020 to the fourth quarter of 2019. This is another language loophole that they wrote in the bill to me. Okay, I don't have the bill in front of my face. This report is off of, I think it's the CNN. Oh no, this is Forbes. Okay. So, as of now, you can take additional money out. As of now, you can use it as a deduction, the PPP as a deduction on your taxes, okay? This is a good thing. They're doing an increased maximum amount of the new PPP loans for second seasonal employees. Because the way that they calculated, if you're a seasonal business, the way that they calculated, your PPP loan was lower. And it was kind of unfair for seasonal businesses. So, they're saying new entities with businesses with more than one physical location. So that's another thing that they put in there. So if you got more than one location, you would need a greater loan because you get 2 rents to pay, right? So for seasonal employers, the maximum amount of the PPP loan is based upon the 2.5 times the average monthly payroll cost for the 12 week that begins from February the 15th or March the 1st and ends February the 15th, 2020. The loan can be up to, but not exceeding, $2 million. For entities with the maximum amount of PPP loan is based on the election of the borrower, the greater of. Okay? So whichever is greater. With businesses more than 2 locations, the 2 million as the total amount of all covered loans, and applying the paragraph administrative substitute more than 300 employees per physical location. So you could still get a loan from, I guess, the loan. Well, they didn't even have that information for that 300 per employee in the initial CARES Act. But I'm assuming that since if you need another PPP loan, if you have 500 employees, 250 per location, you would get excluded. But now you're included, okay? So 300 employees per location. Chinese-owned entities are ineligible for a second draw of PPP. Publicly traded businesses and entities affiliated with the People's Republic of China are on the list of entities that cannot qualify for the new PPP loan. The act reads as follows. We don't need to read the act. They're just saying if you are affiliated with China, if you're a Chinese-owned business in America, you are not eligible for the PPP. Additional loans cannot exceed $2 million per borrower. 90-day wait period between the loans. No enforcement action against banks. The proposed bill provides that there will be no enforcement action with respect to lenders that state as follows. With respect to the lenders that relies on the certification documentation described in paragraph related to initial or second draw of PPP, an enforcement action may not be taken against the lender, and the lender shall not be subject to penalties related to the loan origination or forgiveness of the initial or second PPP. The lender act is in good faith in the loan origination of forgiveness and initial or second draw PPP. The other relevant federal, state, local, and other statutory regulatory requirement applicable to the lender are satisfied with respect to initial second draw to PPP. I don't know how I feel about this because right now they're basically saying that they're going to move the checks and balances from the bank. So as we saw before, PPP, these larger banks or lending institutions, they were giving out the money to, their friends, that really didn't need the PPP loan. And right now they're saying is we're going to give it up to the banks for their sole discretion. I do agree with them forgiveness of the loan with $150,000 less. Forgiveness, leaving that up to the discretion of the bank because SBA is taking a long time to grant forgiveness of these loans. Okay? But if you're taking away the system of checks and balances, which was kind of sketchy in the first place, it's going to be like the legal bank robberies going on. So, anyway, that's just my take on it. Moving forward. Loans will be permitted for many borrowers in bankruptcy. In a significant change, borrowers in bankruptcy will be able to apply for the PPP loan based on the provision of the act, of the new act, okay? So if you're in bankruptcy, you are able to borrow the PPP loan. Not more than $150,000 though. Okay, they got some language in here. Let me know if you want me to do a video of this legal jargon. I'm not a lawyer, so you need to contact your accountant if you think you need additional PPP loans. Gotta take a sip of my coffee. PPP borrowers can select a covered period for as short as 8 weeks, or you could do as long as 24 weeks. So the option is up to you, which is pretty good. Now the expanded eligibility for nonprofit. Nonprofits can borrow from the PPP that employs no more than 300 people. This is the good one. Additional eligible expenses that count towards forgiveness. Okay? software, payroll tracking expenses, human resource, sales and billing functions, accounting and tracking supplies, so stuff that your CRM system, stuff like that. Your accountant, any type of software, business software. Okay, that's a good one. Property damage. So civil unrest, you can put that under your PPP expense. They're covering it as a forgiveness. Covered supplier costs defined as expenditure made by entity to a supplier of goods for the supply of goods are essential for operating the entity in the time in which the expenditure is made. Is made pursuant to the contract and or purchases order in effect at any time before covered, period, with respect to applicable covered loan. Perishable goods too. That's a good thing. Because okay, I'm paying my employees, but now I don't got enough money. My food's spoiled because they shut me down. Now I got to re-up on food to open my business back up. So. It says covered worker protection expenditure defined in means of operating or capital expenditure facilitated the adaptation of business activities. Section in here, the act includes specific examples of what may include as a covered worker protection expenditure. I guess you gotta read the deal for that. Okay. The 12th thing, borrowers can amend loan application to request increase of PPP loan amount as a result in a change of the rules. So you don't have to do a new application. You could just say, hey, you approved me for this, can you give me an increase? Relief for Schedule F farmers. Old McDonald had a loan. That's what they call it. There was some confusion as whether the farmers reporting income on Schedule F were eligible to receive a second bite of the PPP. Fortunately, the Act includes specific provisions that allow farmers to report incomes on the Schedule F to qualify for the PPP based on the 2019 Schedule F, similar to the Schedule C form. Okay, so let's talk about the EIDL. EIDL program for businesses hardest hit by the coronavirus. So we know the loan is 3.75%. Businesses that receive EIDL loans are unable to pay several things without SBA approval, including paying dividends, paying bonuses to employees, including non-owners, and using the EIDL funds for any other business's purposes. The EIDL borrowers must keep records of the EIDL loan, where they spent the EIDL loan. Okay? They said and provide the receipts or keep it 90 days after the loan is paid off. This page kind of cut off, but it's saying that if you suffered economic loss greater than 30%, employees no more than 300 people, they're trying to do targeted EIDL loan program, okay? Entitlement to full amount in general, subject a covered entity after submitting a request to the administrator and administrator verified subsection shall receive a total of $10,000 under the section of the CARES Act. Okay? The applicant loan for which covered entity or applied under section blah 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 covered entity accepted offer of the administrator with respect to an approved loan described in sub-paragraph. The priority target EIDL program is as follows. The administrator shall process the approved request for payments under the subsection B in order the administrator to receive requests except the administrator shall give the first priority to coverage entity described in the section above. Second priority to coverage entities to receive emergency grants under this subsection. Administrator receives such a request because the unavailability of funding to carry out such section. So it sounds like they're going to give a $10,000 grant to certain covered entities. And that's 300 employees or less, and you lost 30%. 30% of your revenues, greater than 30%. EIDL advance non-taxable and no longer reduces the PPP forgiveness. Now remember in my last video, they were saying that, oh, you could apply for forgiveness in the PPP, but if you receive the EIDL advance, we're going to subtract your forgiveness amount from the EIDL advance. So the total amount of forgiveness would have been less. Now they're saying they're not going to do that, which they shouldn't have in the first place, okay? So it's saying that the Act also replenished the EIDL Advance Fund, which allows businesses suffering substantial economic injury to apply for advance that does not need to be repaid, up to $1,000 per employee, limited to $10,000 total. You are now eligible to apply for a $1,000 advance again, people. Okay? The new Act repeals this provision to receipt in the EIDL advance with no impact of the PPP forgiveness. They have already applied for the received forgiveness, presumably may now amend their application and request the $10,000 advance, not reduced from this forgiveness amount. Okay? So there you have it. 10,000. 10K. Now, if you guys don't get 10 employees, don't be laughing at your application. I'm going to link the video to go through how you can process your loan application or to get that advance amount, okay? I want you guys to take advantage of it. I'm pretty sure the SBA has hit the game now. So they're going to scrutinize you. They're not just going to be sending people out $10,000. You're going to have to prove that you're a legitimate business. My last video, I will link it up. Steps to improve or increase your chances of getting approved for the EIDL loan program. So those necessary things that I listed, it's like a checklist that I listed in that video. Make sure you have it, okay? Don't just go willy-nilly and apply for stuff and you don't have that stuff, because the SBA will request that information from you. Okay? Follow me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram. I am sending all my good to you. I will talk to you soon.